Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Property Management 101. And for today's video, we're going to be discussing 5 topics as a property manager you should be reviewing with your team every staff meeting. This video will also apply well if you're a regional manager, you're having a regular meeting with your property managers, and it'll apply well whether it's single family housing or if it's a multifamily complex that you're in charge of as a property manager. When it comes to cadence as far as your regular meetings, I'm a big believer in weekly. You should have a 20 to 30 minute meeting every week to discuss and make sure your team is all on the same page. Now, for some reason, if you can't meet that, maybe it's a situation due to scheduling or when staff are working or something else, then I would at least have 2 meetings a month to ensure your staff is on the same page. Any less than that, some things are going to slip through just because so much time has passed between meetings. There are 5 things I would recommend as a property manager to review with your team every single staff meeting. I would recommend to perform these in this order. Number 1, you really want to show and share your performance of your asset portfolio. So when it comes to sharing some metrics, I'm a big believer starting and ending meetings with a positive note. So if you're starting that meeting with your performance, I would share a metric your team has really performed well in. This could be anything, maybe the number of leases that you've achieved since last meeting, or it could be something like your turnover time for your make-readies. Whatever you feel that is, I would share a metric that your team has access to see and is trackable. So when it comes to sharing those positive ones, I would also make sure you go into some aspects of metrics that you feel that you have room to improve in as well. You want to make sure you're sharing some metrics of where we have room to improve as a portfolio or as a asset. This is something that's really important for your team to be aware of those dynamics of those metrics as well. Now, if your team is big enough, maybe you have a dynamic where your team is big enough, you have enough people responsible and access to certain reports and metrics. I do think it's a great thing to have each team member bring something to the table when it comes to a metric to share for every one of those regular meetings that they have influence in. For example, maybe you have your leasing agent share how many applications we've achieved since last meeting. Maybe you actually have your maintenance supervisor share the number of days it took for an average turnaround time to close each work order since last meeting. These are great metrics to share, and having each staff member share one of these really gets them involved and really understands their impact of their job that they're doing for the overall success of that property. Now, with those metrics, you always want to tie it back into the job that everyone is doing and how that influences those certain metrics. So for example, if you're reviewing maybe a metric about online reviews and you're tracking those online reviews and you have a certain management system tracking that and you have a score that's related to that, maybe many of your reviews are showing the condition of the property to be a very positive thing as far as what your market and residents are telling you. That's something you can directly share with your porter, for example, and the job they're doing and how that impacts that score. This is a great thing to share with them to let them know the job they're doing and how much it's appreciated and how it reflects in that performance. The second topic you want to review with your entire team is the upcoming property schedule. So you want to share things like scheduled move-ins, scheduled move-outs, scheduled transfers coming up, also scheduled visits. This could be by a supervisor, this could be by an owner or a lender. This is going to be really important to prepare your team for these types of visits as well. Oftentimes those guests that come to our property, they may want to see something in particular at your asset. I can't tell you the number of times I've actually been asked by a lender, hey, we want to see 20 units, or we want to see 8 units, or we want to see 2 units per floor plan you offer. So when it comes to these visits, if they want to see inside a unit, I need to make sure that I give these residents proper notice. And there's usually a required time frame before these visits I have to give them. So because of this, this is why it's so important to also find out from those visits what's required and inform your staff of these things. This is why it's such an important topic to consistently share on a regular basis with your team of what's coming up. Thank you for watching this video. Just by you viewing this video and our other videos supports the YouTube algorithm and allows our videos to get in front of more property management operators. If you want to continue to show your support, we would greatly appreciate if you like, subscribe, and share this video with others. Thank you again. Number 3, when it comes to items you want to share as a property manager with your team, is training opportunities. You always, as a supervisor, want to be looking for opportunities for your team to grow and your team to allow them to be positioned to offer a higher level service to your customers. So it could be things like efficiency. Maybe you're sharing some dynamics of how to use the templates in Outlook to make the response time even quicker to residents and prospects. Maybe it's something else you're seeing that can improve the staff's day or make it easier or perform at a higher level. Now, when it comes to this, I'm a big advocate. If it's just one individual staff member you're seeing with that opportunity to improve, you don't necessarily need or should require that to be something you discuss in a staff meeting. If it's just occurring with one employee, it's not going to be a dynamic where they're going to feel pointed out or singled out when it comes to this. Really make sure you're sharing things that apply to multiple people in your staff when it comes to these opportunities to grow. Also, when it comes to training opportunities, do you have any training opportunities coming up that your staff may be eligible for taking? Do you have any staff members that are required to take some continuing education to maintain a certain certification or license for their job? Do you have staff members that are going to be attending some of these upcoming trainings? They'll be out of the office. This will be important for the other staff members to be aware of that. So this is going to be really important to share not only the schedule of trainings of what's going on, things that are going to be required, and always improve the staff's ability to perform at a high level. Number 4, this is where you want to have an open forum with your team. Are there questions that they have? This should be a situation you're having more dialogue with your team, answering questions, giving them some dynamics when it comes to maybe things they're curious about. You also want to allow them to share things that may be a negative. And this is where, if you're allowing them to share these things, you always want to encourage them and require them to bring a solution. It doesn't do anyone any good on that team if we're just complaining about things but not bringing in a solution. That is just complaining, and the meeting can spin out of control. If someone brings up something they do not like, you always need to require them to bring a solution to that problem. This will allow to have more of a solution-oriented conversation and allow for better feedback with the team. It's definitely something you want to encourage them to do. What you don't want to do is have all these meetings where everyone's happy and you're not discussing anything difficult. You want to make sure you're very constructive of how we can improve the property's asset and the job that we're doing. And the 5th and final topic you as a property manager should be discussing with your team every single staff meeting is you should be covering announcements. Now, when it comes to announcements, you want to share mostly positive things. And when it comes to this, I'm talking about maybe upcoming birthdays of your staff, maybe upcoming work anniversaries, maybe upcoming events at your property, or maybe events that are around your property, not even on your property, that may affect your property. So this is going to be good to discuss and share with your team as well. Now, when it comes to ending the meeting with a positive note, just like I mentioned earlier in the video, you want to start and end the meeting on a positive note. I like ending the meeting with sharing some positive feedback I've received. Maybe it's online review, maybe it's feedback directly from a resident or past resident or future resident. I always think it's a good thing to share this with their team. This will encourage them to also ask for those positive reviews, as well as they want to maybe heighten their job they're doing so they're recognized by their teammates as well. It's a really good thing to share this. I'd highly recommend this if you're not doing this already. And for a video recap today, as a property manager, these are 5 things you should be reviewing every single meeting with your staff. Number 1, performance. You want to go over some good metrics that we're performing very well in, but also you want to share where we have some opportunities in when it comes to improving the asset or portfolio's position. Number 2, you want to discuss and review the upcoming property schedule. So this is going to be things like scheduled move-ins, scheduled move-outs, notices, transfers, anything when it comes to what's going on at that property in the near future. For property visits, you want to make sure everyone is aware of any visits coming up and anything you'll be doing during that time. When it comes to notifying your staff of these things, there's going to be things they need to know about and make sure they're prepared for. For example, your maintenance. If you have scheduled move-outs and notices, you want to make sure they're aware, hey, we have 17 scheduled move-outs over the next 30 days. Maybe they're not ready for those 17. This is a constant reminder for your staff to be ready to turn these units. And the third item for this video recap we want to discuss is you want to make sure in your meetings you're discussing and identifying training opportunities. As a supervisor throughout the course of the week or the month, if you see opportunities that you can help your staff when it comes to those moments that they're performing their day-to-day duties, that you can help them become more efficient, more effective when it comes to their role, this is a great thing to share with your entire team. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do this if you have a dynamic where it's only one person that you feel has the ability or opportunity to grow in this position. You want to have a dynamic where you're seeing things that multiple people can benefit from. So if it is a situation where maybe you see and identify an area of one opportunity that someone has, maybe have that conversation one-on-one and not at a staff meeting. You don't want them to feel singled out when it comes to this dynamic. Also, you want to keep in mind and share things when it comes to upcoming training schedules or classes your staff may be attending or required to take. This is also good to talk about with the entire team so other staff members that may not be attending or required to attend are aware of who's going to be out and when. And the 4th thing that we discuss on today's video is having an open forum. This is going to be really important to allow your team to have open dialogue with questions or feedback of things that are working well or not so working well. And this is a great opportunity for them to not only bring you a problem, but bring you a solution. As a supervisor and property manager, always require if your staff has an open forum to bring you a problem, you're requiring them to also bring a solution. This will allow the conversation to be much more solution oriented. It's not a situation of them them just complaining about a problem without any insight of what could help that problem. This will allow the whole team to have a conversation, maybe provide ideas or feedback of how we can fix or improve this process or idea. And the last and fifth thing that you should discuss as a property manager every single staff meeting is announcements. So this is where you share work anniversaries, birthdays, things like that, but you always want to end on a positive note. And I love sharing customer reviews and feedback with your team as far as what's been collected by you as a supervisor, if you've seen or brought to you as far as the job your team is doing. It's a great way to end the meeting. I'd highly recommend it if you're not doing this. And these 5 things will definitely make you a better supervisor, a better property manager, ensure your team has good communication, as well as you're working towards fixing things and everyone's in line with the asset strategy and goals. Thank you for watching till the end of the video. I hope this video provided at least one valuable tip for you and your teams. Your feedback is very important to us. Please leave a comment if you have any suggestions as far as how can we improve this video, or if you have any questions, or if there's aspects of this video that you felt that we left out on this subject. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to show your support, please feel free to like the video, as well as comment what your favorite part of the video was. Happy leasing!